Hi there, I'm Mariel Ruiz, and we are talking about holiday traditions. I'm sitting with La Vida team. We do a lot of stories in the community that involve Latin life, and we all come from different backgrounds. We all celebrate differently. I'm going to start with Itzel. What is your family tradition?
Well, I feel like every holiday has its own traditions and its own rituals and everything. So for Christmas, we celebrate all the 24th. Like the 24th is actually Christmas and it's Noche Buena. And we just wait. We prepare the food. We're with the family and we're just hanging out at home. And we wait until like we eat, which is at midnight. So when I was a kid, like I wasn't so desperate to wait for the presents. I was actually waiting for the food and ready to eat. And it was just a beautiful memories, you know, having all the family together.
Yes, yes.
Maria,
Yeah.
Similar.
Yes, very similar experience. I'm from Peru, and same thing. We wait till midnight and we wait to eat, and that's what I looked forward to the most because it was like after, you know, we'd go to mass in the afternoon. You can't eat anything, and I remember being so hungry by the time we got to midnight. And you can like smell the pork. We always had lechon with rice and applesauce. And then we have tamales too, which are prepared a little bit different than the Mexican tamales I think that we are all more used to here in Texas. Ours is made with a banana leaf, and then it's filled with pork and olives, and they're really, really good. And then right when the clock strikes at midnight, we always do fireworks in the middle of the street. So my whole family still lives in Peru, so every other year we'll go down there and celebrate with like my aunts and uncles and my grandma, and that's my favorite part of it is right at midnight you'll go outside and you just hear like an explosion for like 20 minutes. Like it's insanity and it's so much fun, and then like car alarms are going off from people like exploding things on the street, and it's just so much fun, and then you go inside and eat. So that's definitely my favorite part of it.
Emil?
So likewise, we have similar tamales in Honduras. You know, we have fillings of pork and rice and papa. And then we also kind of celebrate ours a day early, but we don't wait until midnight of the 25th. We wait like the whole day before. And we also have something similar to the fireworks that you guys have. We call it La Celebración de Fuego, the celebration of fire. So, you know, kids at young ages will go out into the street, popping fireworks. The younger ones will have sparklers. And it's one of my, you know, fondest traditions, and we try to do it sometimes here in the States, but you get in trouble for setting off fireworks in the cities. So, you know, in other ways, we try to keep the traditions alive. But it's always been one of my favorite parts, you know, of the holidays, getting together with my family, eating tamales made by my grandmother in the style that, you know, I'm used to, and then popping off fireworks at midnight. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so very similar. We also have Noche Buena. All of the celebrations are done the 24th versus the 25th. And on the 25th, we're just basically recovering from the day before. You're just sleeping, you're eating again, and you're just kind of hanging out. But on the 24th, we actually don't wait until midnight to eat because we're eating literally all day. And some of the foods that are traditional for my family, my family's from Chihuahua, which is northern Mexico, and it's tamales. Usually it's beef, because that's just what was available there. So it's like a beef tamale that has a red sauce in it. We also have beans and cheese, we have jalapenos and beans, and there also is a savory tamale, and it has raisins in it. I know a lot of people aren't fans of raisins, but the savory, tamal dulce, which I was not a fan of growing up, but I appreciate it now that I'm an adult. So that's one, and we also have buñuelos.
Those are so good.
You guys had them?
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Okay,
No.
so buñuelo is basically a very thin tortilla that's deep fried. So it's kind of in the shape of a tortilla.
Say less.
And then you, and then it has cinnamon and sugar, and you just eat it like that, or you can eat it with honey. But yeah, we can't wait until midnight to eat, or else we'll be eating like for several hours.
Yeah.
There's so much food. We're eating all day.
Nice.
And we drink a lot of ponche. That's our drink. Like it's just a bunch of fruit and a olla. It's hot. Of course, it's a hot drink, but it's a lot of fruit, caña dulce. We just biting those cañas.
Sugar cane.
Yeah, sugar cane. And that's our drink. What is y'all's drink for holidays?
Well, I mean, that night, I don't think there's anything really particular. For us, it's the morning of the 25th that we have hot chocolate, but it's a thicker hot chocolate, and it's usually made with like blended quinoa, so it's a little bit thicker. It's really good, and then it's always served with panettone, which is actually an Italian like bread that it's kind of like a sweet bread, and it usually has like dried fruit in it. People always say, "Oh, it's fruitcake." No, it's not fruitcake.
Get it right.
It's like a bread consistency.
That's so interesting. So you have it with hot chocolate?
Yes.
Okay, the next day.
The next morning.
Yeah. Do you have a traditional drink?
Yeah, so usually we have rompope, which is kind of our version of eggnog. And I think it's interesting because we have rompope, people from Puerto Rico have coquito, and it's very similar to eggnog in that it has all the same basic ingredients except for the egg. And on top of that too, the bread that we usually eat it with is pan de coco. So usually it'll be bread made without any leaveners, and they'll use coconut milk instead of like regular milk. Yeah, no, there's never any leftovers because it always gets eaten right away. Oh yeah,
Sounds so good.
it's fantastic.
Yeah. And the coquito, I know you said it was actually more Puerto Rican.
That's right.
Yeah, coquito's more Puerto Rican, and I recently came across it. My mom made it. My mom's Mexican, but she saw this. She saw this on Facebook, so she made it, and we had it. And it's so good. I had never had it before, and I know traditionally you can have it with rum as well.
Yeah.
Wow, delicious.
We had it recently for Thanksgiving, actually. My parents and we had the one with rum, but our friends from New Jersey came by and gave us like a whole assortment of different flavors, like pumpkin spice and coffee and chocolate. And it's fantastic, you know. I will go as far as to say I think I like it better than traditional eggnog, you know, especially with the rum included.
Yeah, I know our nights can go really long. So we have, like, for the adults, it's pisco sours, our drink, and it's made with pisco, which is a liquor made out of a white grape. Yeah, and then a pisco sour is kind of like our margarita. It's made with lime and an egg white. So when you shake it up, it kind of foams up, and that's like people are just drinking that all night. So I mean, it's late, right? I mean, it's like really till like the sun is rising is when we stop celebrating. Like kids are like playing, the adults are dancing. Like it really is a celebration. Like we're celebrating. It's like a birthday. I mean, it's like Jesus' birthday. So we're like, how would we celebrate our birthday? Well, we're gonna party, and it's kind of the same thing for us. So then sleeping in, and whenever I do go to Peru, since they're in the southern hemisphere, it's summertime. So usually on Christmas Day, everyone's on the beach. It's like impossible to find a spot. Like that's what everyone's doing, just chilling, like hangover and all, just like recovering from the night before.
Sign me up.
Yeah, right.
When are we going to Peru?
For real.
Christmas in Peru.
But it sounds like for a lot of us, like food is a really big
It is.
driving factor in the
Definitely.
holidays.
Food and family.
Definitely.
Right.
And the same thing for New Year's. I mean, everybody has different traditions, but there's always food involved in it. For example, the grapes. When it's midnight, we're supposed to eat the 12 grapes, making a wish every time, like for each grape, and it's
In under a
there's food.
minute.
In under a minute. I know,
Crazy.
which is a record. I've never done it. You know, it's just like looking at my family with my mouth full, like, it just say like Happy New Year's.
For me, I can't think of a wish for each grape. I'm like, I don't know what to wish for anymore.
To no choke.
I
That's a lot of
prepare. I prepare. I have a wish for every 12. It's fun. It's something that my family does too. All of you do it too,
Yeah.
the 12 grapes?
Yes,
So it's kind of probably a whole Latin America that does it.
Yes, there's so many different like traditions and kind of these like superstitions that I
Yes.
would say we have. Like my favorite one is the luggage. So you'll take an empty luggage and run outside, and you have to make it around the block and back to your house in under a minute. And that's supposed to bring you like a year full of travel. And I've done it one time where I had that and I had my grapes, and I was trying to do both at the same time, and I was like tripping on myself.
Don't do it, Carmen.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
But
will not
it's so
suggest.
much fun.
Yeah, I mean, we do that too, and then the different color underwear.
Yes, that's another thing.
That's another one. So depending on the color that you're wearing, that's what is going to bring you in the new year. So yellow is luck, I believe.
I think so. Or
Yeah,
was it
and then-
money?
Green,
I think
green is money.
Okay.
You're right.
And then
Yes.
red is love.
Right, and white is peace.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
We've always just done yellow. I have heard of the other colors before, but in Peru, it's just yellow. It's just kind of like, that's for good luck, I guess, in the whole year. We're not big on like the other colors. Like when you see all the street vendors in Peru, there's like little tents that just have yellow underwear. You can see them because it's just like a yellow tent, and it's just all, and then you really look and you're like, is that underwear? Like it's just like plastered everywhere. So that's a really big thing too. Is like, okay, everyone get your underwear. You have to get, it has to be new.
Right.
That's the thing. It can't be like used
Your
underwear.
regular.
Yeah, you have to like break it in.
Yeah. Fresh pair.
I have heard of people who wear multiple underwear of different colors just to have everything.
Just to cover all the
I've been
bases.
told, okay? I've been told people do
Maybe
that.
I should do that this year. Just like all the time.
I need all the
All
luck
of
I can get.
Or can you stack multiple of the same color, get more,
Ooh.
Oh,
more
have
money?
not tried that.
I will not
be
try
worth
that in Peru because it's hot. It's summer. So I wouldn't do that
It
in
is
Peru.
warm, it's humid. Yeah, I don't think it
So going back to Christmas, we were talking about food, we were talking about family. Do any of you do the nativity scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So for us, baby Jesus goes into the scene at midnight. So the whole scene is there, and it's there for like the entirety of December, it feels like. And then you set baby Jesus down, and then that's when you're allowed to open presents. It can't be before then. So I didn't know if
Yeah.
anyone else did that.
Yeah, we do the same exact thing. I mean, the national religion of Peru is Catholicism. So that's a big tradition too, to take your baby Jesus and get it blessed at Mass right before by the priest, and then you put it back into your nativity scene. It's like, yay, he's here. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Something that I missed a lot is posadas. We did a lot of posadas in Mexico, something I haven't been able to be part of here. I don't know if anyone does that here. Because it's usually in the street, in front of your house, your neighbors that will gather and do the posadas. And it's just like a celebration where we, like, I think it's 6 days prior to Christmas, where we just recreate the moment with Maria and Jose were looking for a place to stay. And so we go to a door, to a neighbor's house, we knock, and we sing a song, a traditional song, and then this neighbor will be like, yeah, come in, and we just sing along, and then we have food, and we just have like a whole party outside. We will have a piñata, that's the thing, like we have to have a piñata that day. And the kids get a lot of candy, a lot of ponche. It's just a celebration that I missed a lot. But yeah, I haven't been to a posada here yet.
Wow, no, so is it random? Like, am I gonna randomly get a knock on the door like, you're hosting a party now? Is that
Come sing.
Sometimes, no, but they tell you in advance. Like you plan the
it's
whole,
planned,
because they
right.
have to like block the entire street.
Okay.
And like police officers will be and lock the street so cars will not drive by.
Yeah.
And like all the neighbors on that street will have their posada.
Oh, that's
so,
fun.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we took part in that. So I grew up here, so I've only ever known posadas in the U.S., but they were not really amongst neighbors. They were mostly family, so you'd go to someone's house, and then that's just where you would have it that day. But yeah, I've never heard of like involving the whole block, kind of like a block party.
Yes, no, that was the thing in Mexico, and that's what I miss the most. To my understanding, they're still doing that. I mean, it's super traditional. It's something that you have to have a posada. You have to be at a posada to say that you celebrate Christmas. Yeah.
They used to have those at my high school too. Like the students would actually organize the posadas themselves, and they would fundraise for it. They would also make sure that all the decorations and everything for it were set. And then like the night of, they have people come perform live music and everything. So it's like a really beautiful thing that the students themselves are kind of keeping these traditions alive that go back to their roots for generations.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, no,
How
it's
cool.
a beautiful thing.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's something that I've always wanted to do during the holidays is to go to New York City, and I was actually planning on doing that last year, but I got the call to come off to WFAA, so kind of canceled those plans and came up here, and I mean, obviously it worked out.
Yeah, we love that you chose us.
I chose you. But yeah, the idea of going and there are so many different cultures in New York City that necessarily are not anything close to our cultures that I think would be really fun to experience. It's such a diverse city, and you get enough of all of the lights, right? Like
Right.
ice skating and Rockefeller Plaza. It just sounds really cool. But yeah, I didn't realize that there were so many different Latin traditions for Christmas, for Navidad, for Nochebuena. So I think it'd be really cool just to do like a little sample of all of the Latin cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like we need to do a Pollock really soon. I can really like taste it out.
Or tamelada.
Yeah.
Try
that'd
all
be
the
fun.
different tamales. Yeah, definitely. That would be good.
I agree with. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. I was just gonna say, like, there are so many versions or variations of tamales within the Latin community that it would be worth just kind of going through the list and seeing, you know, the different kinds of fillings and the different names that they give them. I mean, I think it'd be a good time.
Well, you know, that's another thing. Empanadas are very different in different countries.
They
They
are.
call them different things.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, we call them pastes.
pastelito,
In Honduras.
pastes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's interesting.
They're pastelitos in Honduras. They're deep fried and made out of like the red masa. And my grandma usually puts ground beef and rice in them. Yeah, and they were always my favorite. And as a kid, I was very impatient and wouldn't wait for them to cool. So I would always burn my tongue, like trying to eat one right out of the fryer.
Yeah,
You know, I've learned to be a little bit more patient.
you learned. That's funny.
You learn with that.
So you were talking about a different kind of tamal.
Yes, so we have one called humitas, and it's a sweet one. And it's, you know what? I can't talk about it because I really don't know what it's filled with. Like it's just
sweet.
sweet.
It's a sweet tamal.
It's a sweet tamal. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no idea. I should have like looked it up.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because in Honduras we also make tamales de elote, which I know a lot of people in El Salvador also make,
Yeah.
and they're made out of sweet corn. So they actually are sweeter, but not like dessert sweet.
Yeah.
And we also eat ours with crema, which in Honduras we call mantequilla, right?
Oh, wow.
Right. And so not only that, we have a version of these tamales de elote that we put pork inside. And those have a different name too. We call those montucas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing about montucas is that every time someone makes them for an event, there's never any leftovers, right?
Yeah.
They're gone in like
good.
15 seconds, right? So those are always my favorite part of the holiday too, because sometimes my aunts from New York, New Jersey, they'll make some for us whenever we go up there to visit them for the holidays. And you know, I always try to snag two, like right off the rip, because there's no
The first to
guaranteeing,
go.
right, that they'll be left over too.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of candies too. I used to eat a lot of candies when I was a kid during Christmas. We were actually filling the las botitas, the Christmas socks, I guess, or
The
they're called.
stockings.
The stockings, yes, and like they will sell those in the store, like already filled with so much candy and all different types of candy. And I think Christmas for kids, it's all about the candy. Like kids go crazy with the candy. And something that I really wish I had the chance to do, but we never did. I don't think it's a Latino tradition to leave like cookies for Santa or like leave the milk for Santa. We will leave like a tamal, something like that. But I like, I don't know if he likes that, but let's do it.
Give
But
some
never
substance.
Yes.
You know, that was something that always confused me growing up because we had the midnight thing, and then I grew up here in Texas, so then my friends would be like, "Oh, we're leaving Santa like cookies overnight," and I'm like, when would he come and eat them? Because you're like awake. You know, like I just didn't get it. I'm like, when does he come to do that for you guys? And I just never understood, like, I don't know, I guess we didn't grow up with like Santa comes like on Christmas Eve. He would come like on random days. It would be like December 2nd and it'd be like, oh, you have like a present under the tree. I guess Santa came. Like it was just random, like you never knew when he was gonna show up.
Right,
Oh,
we are the
wow.
same way. And I also grew up in Texas, but I have parents that came from Mexico. So growing up, I had friends that would have to go to sleep, you know, early
Yes,
on Christmas
right.
Eve,
Yeah.
Yep.
so that Santa would come. But we were ourselves up all night,
Yeah, right.
eating and then opening presents. But yeah, Santa would come at any given day in December.
Yeah, just
and
random.
it was addressed from Santa, which is my next question. I have a friend that is from Venezuela, and they don't have Santa Claus. They say that baby Jesus brings the gifts. So
Ooh.
did y'all grow up with Santa Claus, or did you grow up with baby Jesus bringing gifts?
So growing up here, everyone, you know, celebrated Christmas with Santa. So my parents would try to do their best to try to have a Christmas that was kind of reflective of like the Christmas that everyone around me was having. But that's also how I kind of discovered that Santa Claus wasn't a real thing.
Wait, what?
It's okay.
I'm sorry. So I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, I would leave milk and cookies out for Santa. And sometimes, you know, I would see like the cookies were eaten on the plate, but one time I found a note written to me from Santa. But when I started reading it, I got kind of suspicious because it had the upside down exclamation point at the beginning and the accents in Spanish. And I was like, wait a minute. Since when is Santa Latino? Something's off here.
Same.
So my dad had to have the talk with me then.
Aww.
Right. But, you know.
You're too smart.
Right. So I think it was kind of a, you know, it meant a lot to me that my parents went out of their way to try to, you know, not only have Christmas in the ways that we would celebrate it back home, but Christmas in the way that we would have it here, you know, which was our new home. And they would try to embrace the traditions on both sides, you know, even though I was, you know, too smart for my own good and ended up finding out anyway. So, you know, it was always a thing that, you know, I enjoyed, you know, the leaving out the cookies, having Santa come by. And then, you know, I'm glad I didn't grow up, you know, in these days because they have like the Santa tracker. You can go online and see supposedly where he is. So I would have been sitting there and watching that thing, you know, making sure that he's not like anywhere close when I wasn't asleep, when I wasn't awake, you know, just so I could stay up and try to see if I could see him.
You know, I do track Santa on Christmas Eve on my radar. As a meteorologist, it's part of my job.
Will you be doing that this year too?
I actually won't be here, but yes, I will still do it at some point. I track Santa on radar. It's one of the things I can do with my degree.
Yes, we just wish that our audience can have peace, enjoy this year, enjoy the holidays with your family. We have come from a whole pandemic, and I feel like this is the first holiday that we're going to be kind of back to normal. So I really hope and pray that you will be able to enjoy with your family, be together, love each other, and just celebrate the best way that you can and embrace your culture, embrace your traditions. And I'm glad that we're passing that to the next generation. So just make sure that your kids, your grandkids get to know your culture, your background, and that they keep going with those traditions.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's the biggest thing I think for us is it's about family and being together and being an immigrant for a really long time. It was just my immediate family, which I really, you know, hold that near and dear. But, you know, I remember my first Christmas going back home to Peru and being around my extended family. And so I just hope that viewers find that gratefulness for family and don't take it for granted that when you're surrounded by people that love you, it's just really warm. And that's, you know, that's what the holidays are all about.
Likewise, too, I know during the pandemic it was tough, especially for people who have families that live in other countries and you might not have gotten a chance to go see them. So this holiday, I wish that everyone watching back home gets a chance to be reunited with their loved ones, and not just with their immediate family, but with all of their extended family. And on top of that, too, I hope they get a chance to continue these traditions that we hold so fondly ourselves and pass those on to the next generation so that they know, you know, where we came from and why we celebrate these traditions. And on top of that, too, I hope, you know, it's filled with lots of yummy food, you know, all of the favorites that everyone here has. I know I will and be, you know, enjoying a lot of these myself. So more than anything, you know, I hope that your holidays are filled with cheer and family.
Oh, same. I mean, it's obvious that what's all important to us, food, family, spending time together. And this holiday season, I really hope that you cherish and embrace time spent together, and I hope that you find comfort in your traditions. I know I certainly do. It always brings me back home. I have been away from home for over a decade, and this is my first full season back. And when I was away, something that I really did hold near and dear were those traditions, because that made me feel like I was home. So I hope that for you as well, and I hope that the little ones are embracing all of the traditions this holiday season.